So welcome everyone. It's lovely to have those who can make it live and those who will be listening later. Thank you for joining us. It's quite an interesting time. So firstly, welcome, and if you do have access to being able to type on your computer, just put a few words of how you find yourself today, just so we bring all of us into the room with us. But if you are driving or on your phone, then please don't worry about that. So last night was Halloween, or Samhain. Samhain is a Gaelic word. And I just want to read you a little bit about Samhain, because we know Halloween. Some of us celebrate Halloween. Our family doesn't really. But I just thought it's interesting to know the roots of where these came from. So Samhain is a Gaelic festival on the 1st of November. So let me just switch this off. Marking the end of the harvest season and beginning of winter, or darker half of the year. It is also the Irish language name for November. Celebrations begin on the evening of the 31st of October, since the Celtic day began and ended at sunset. This is about, so the first actually would have begun sunset yesterday and goes to sunset today, and then it's the next day. This is about halfway between the autumnal equinox and winter solstice. It is one of the 4 Gaelic seasonal festivals, along with Imbolc, Beltane, and Lugnasa. Historically, it was widely observed throughout Ireland, Scotland, and the Isle of Man. A similar festival was held by the Brittonic Celtic people called Callan Gaif in Wales. Samhain is believed to have a Celtic pagan origins, and some Neolithic passage tombs in Ireland and Britain are aligned with the sunrise at the time of Samhain. Isn't that amazing? Like they say that's what the stones of Stonehenge are all aligned for some reason. I haven't actually looked into that, but some Neolithic passage tombs in Ireland and Britain are aligned with the sunrise at the time of Samhain. It is mentioned that in the earliest Irish literature from the 9th century, and is associated with many important events in Irish mythology. The early literature says Samhain was marked by great gatherings and feasts, and was when the ancient burial mounds were open, which were seen as portals to the other world. Some of the literature also associates Samhain with bonfires and sacrifices. Like Beltane, Samhain was a liminal or threshold festival, when the boundary between this world and the other world blurred, making contact with the Osi, or spirits, or fairies, more likely. Most scholars see them as remnants of pagan gods. At Samhain, they were appeased with offerings of food and drink to ensure the people and livestock survived the winter. The souls of dead kin were also brought to revisit their homes, seeking hospitality, and a place was set at the table for them during the meal. Mumming and guising were part of the festival from at least the early modern era, whereby people went door to door in costume, reciting verses in exchange for food. The costumes may have been a way of imitating and disguising oneself, and from the Osi, which are the fairies or the spirits. Divination was also a big part of the festival and often involved nuts and apples. In the 9th century, the Western Church endorsed the 1st of November as the date of All Saints' Day, probably due to the influence of Alcuin, and 2nd of November later became All Souls' Day. It is believed that Samhain and All Saints or Souls influence each other and the modern Halloween. Most American Halloween traditions were inherited from Irish and Scottish immigrants. Folklorists have used the name Samhain to refer to the Gaelic Halloween costumes up until the 19th century. So it's fascinating, the background of this. And then Mexico celebrates this time as the Day of the Dead, or the Dia de los Muertos. And this is all, there's a beautiful movie about it, the Coco movie. It's a Disney movie and well worth watching, even if you are an adult. It's called Coco. So the Day of the Dead is a Mexican holiday where families welcome back the souls of their deceased relatives for a brief reunion that includes food, drink, and celebration. A blend of Mesoamerican ritual, European religion, and Spanish culture, the holiday is celebrated each year from the 31st of October to 2nd of November. while October 31st is Halloween, November 1st to 2nd is All Souls Day, or the Day of the Dead. According to tradition, the gates of heaven are opened at midnight on the 31st of October, and the spirits of children can rejoin their families for 24 hours. The spirits of adults can do the same on the 2nd of November. And then we'll move to Halloween. Halloween, less commonly known as All Halloween and All Hallows Eve or All Saints Eve, is a celebration observed in many countries on the 31st of October, the eve of the Western Christian feast of All Hallows. It begins at the observance of All Hallowtide, the time in the liturgical year dedicated to remembering the dead, including saints, hallows, saints who are hallows, martyrs, and all the faithful departed. In popular culture, the day has become a celebration of horror, being associated with the macabre and supernatural. So we in our family have never been big fans of Halloween, and I don't enjoy inviting darkness and horror and the macabre into our hearts and into our homes. So we don't love the practice. I also think that children have enough sweets. I'm not sure that this thing of giving them so many sweets is really that helpful. And I do see darkness and symbols of Satanism and darkness everywhere once you know what you're looking for, which part of that is that the symbols are hidden in plain sight so that they are open to everyone when you start to see. But we decide not to focus on that. We will focus on love and connection. And so on this day, I'm inviting and celebrating those of my dear friends who have passed. And so you may want to do this too. I'm lighting a candle and bringing them to mind, and I'll keep this candle lit all day. And every time I go past, I offer them love and gratitude for the part that they've played in my life. And just remembering and celebrating them, because in this movie Coco, they talk about that it's very significant for people who've passed names to be remembered and celebrated. And so in Coco, they put out photos, I think in Mexico, they put out photos of those who have passed. So that's my candle here. And then just because the energy is so high at the moment, having just been through this full moon lunar eclipse, which was the full moon, as we've talked about many times before, is about new beginnings. It's about the completion of a cycle, shining a giant spotlight on what's going on in our lives. Taurus invites us to ground ourselves in the things that bring us joy and bring us back to ourselves, because there's so much taking us out of ourselves, so much in the news, so much in the world that can make us feel stressed and dissociated and losing our confidence and our place in the world. And so I invite you to really foster this at this time. We need it more than ever, our connection with ourselves and the things that bring us joy and the things that bring us back to ourselves. This past full moon was about something to do with Mars and Mercury, where there could have been sharp words said in anger, words regretted. And it's not just on that day, on the weekend, but it can still be coming up now. So just to be aware of that, not to take anything personally. And so this poem by David Whyte, I just adore David Whyte. For those who haven't heard him, it's really worth looking him up, and even just look up this poem on YouTube, because it's a treat to hear him reciting any of his poetry. Part of his poetry is how he recites it. He was in South Africa a few years ago. So I invite you, it's called Start Close In, and definitely see if you can listen to him reciting it at some stage. But I invite you to take a deep breath in and breathe out. And with each breath, just allowing your energy to settle in your body. Noticing your feet on the floor or where they connect with the earth. Noticing your seat in your chair. Feeling the support that is there for you by the earth. by even the seat that you're sitting in, how it cradles you and supports you. Taking another breath and inviting a softening of your shoulders, letting go perhaps of tension that may be sitting in your shoulders, throat space, heart space. Allowing for an expansion in this moment. Start close in. Don't take the second step or the third. Start with the first. Start with the first thing close in, the step you don't want to take. Start with the ground you know, the pale ground beneath your feet. Your own way of starting the conversation. Start with the ground you know, the pale ground beneath your feet. Your own way of starting the conversation. Start with your own question. Give up on other people's questions. Don't let them smother something simple. To find another's voice, follow your own voice. Wait until that voice becomes a private ear listening to another. Start right now. Take a small step you can call your own. Don't follow someone else's heroics. Be humble and focused. Start close in. Don't mistake that other for your own. Start close in. Don't take the second step or the third. Start with the first thing. Close in. Start with the first thing. Close in. The step you don't want to take. And the first step for us is settling into our bodies. Coming into this moment. Being here together on All Saints' Day. For this moment, just settling into our bodies. Bringing your attention and energy back into your body. And settling into and expanding into your body. Following each breath into the body. Receiving each breath and allowing it to expand into your body. So that with each breath, we notice an expansion. A filling up of our body. Every time your thoughts wander, just gently bringing them back to your breath. Following it again into your body. And then sensing into your body. Sensing into the life force energy that each breath brings with it. That then permeates through your body to the tips of your toes, the tips of your fingers. That wraps around itself around every hair on your body. Feeling into each breath as if it's the first time you'd really truly notice that air entering your body. Perhaps it has a color, a texture, a lightness, a shimmer. Noticing as it comes into your body and then as it permeates through your body. So that slowly this light, this texture, this shimmer moves from your nose to the back of your throat, down into your chest space, filling the lungs and inviting it perhaps to the bases of your lungs by softening into your belly and allowing an expansion into your belly and a release of your belly on each breath. And then from there, expanding out from your lungs at the junction between where the capillaries wrap around the alveoli, as this color, light, texture moves out into each of the vessels that surround the lungs and moves out down through your body, down into your abdomen, wrapping its way around each of your organs, digestive organs, reproductive organs, processing organs like the liver and spleen and gallbladder. Noticing it permeating through and around your whole abdominal cavity into your pelvic bowl. Wrapping through and around your pelvic bowl. And down into the hips, hip joints, the thighs, moving through the thighs, backs of the thighs, femurs, to the knees, through this hinge joint that allows for so much of our movement, into our calves, shins, fronts of calves, ankles, and then into your feet, the many bones that are in your feet, your toes, tips of your toes, just noticing this color, texture, light, wrapping itself around each of your toes. The base of your foot, the arch of your foot, your heel. And then sweeping back up to your abdomen, back up to your chest. Feeling into the breath in your lungs yet again. And then following this air as it moves through, now up into your shoulders, your shoulder joints, tops of your arms, elbows, forearms, into the many bones in your hands and your fingers, your wrists. Holding your arms and hands in your whole awareness. Noticing how this air permeates to the tips of your fingers, even to your fingerprints. Feeling in, perhaps there's a tingling, some sort of sensations, warmth. And moving back up to our shoulders, neck, back of neck. And then up into our face, the front of our face, our mouth, our jaw, nose, eyes, ears. Holding them in your awareness. As this life force energy moves through here to the top of your head and the back of your head, connecting with the hairs on your head. And then allowing it just to slowly drift back down and to settle in your heart space. Inviting and opening into your heart space. Perhaps inviting images of those who we have lost from our day-to-day lives, those who have passed, those that we love and want to still connect with deeply. Inviting them into our heart space. Sensing a feeling of gratitude for them, for what they meant to us in our lives, for our connections, the love we shared. Knowing that there's only a veil between us and them, that our senses are too dull to sometimes connect, but that there's always a space for connection. Noticing if there are feelings of sadness that might arise, honoring those, feeling into them, noticing where they sit, what shape or form or weight they have. Acknowledging them as you might acknowledge a child. Perhaps you want to gently rub your arms or squeeze your shoulders or put your hands over your heart space or stroke your cheek, offering a moment of compassion to yourself. Acknowledging this sadness, but then allowing ourselves just to let go of it, like we might let go of a balloon and allow it to drift up. And instead inviting a feeling of gratitude into our heart space. Gratitude for these lives, for the love, for the connection that we still have. And when you're ready, also letting go of this, allowing it to drift up. Taking a few more deep breaths. Perhaps inviting an audible exhale. As we bring ourselves back to this room and this. And when you're ready, just gently opening your eyes, taking in colors and shapes, light of the space around you, the names on the screen, faces. And I wish you a very blessed All Hallows, All Saints Eve. And I'll see you again next week. And please, if you feel that this is helpful in any way to any friends or any family that may find comfort in it, please, I'll post the recording and please feel free to share it. Namaste. And please feel free to unmute or put something in the chat. Thanks, Mandy.
Thank you, Nicola.
Thanks, Angina. Thank you for joining us. Lovely. Always lovely to have you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Mandy.
You're the best. For you.
Oh, thank you,
Thank
Mandy.
you for giving so generously of your time and energy. Thank you for always researching whatever's like most relevant. It doesn't go unnoticed, and it must take hours and hours of your precious time. And I just want to tell you that I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that feedback. Thank you. But I also love doing it, and it enriches my life too. So thank you.
Cheers, Nick.
Bye-bye. See you next week. Just stop.